Welcome back. Now to a legend of the stage and screen. Ian McKellen is probably best known for playing Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, but he is first and foremost a theatre actor. After decades of being on the receiving end of reviews, he's turning the tables. In his new film, The Critic, McKellen plays a scathing newspaper columnist in the 1930s. And after his job comes under threat, he lures a struggling actress into a honey trap blackmailing scheme.
From your secret admirer.
Look, he's crying. Viscount Brooke. Powerful, rich, but catastrophically married. I have something delicate to discuss. Do me a little service. I want you to please him, and in return, you will gain my unyielding favor. All that's required to make you a star.
Ian McKellen joined me here this week in the studio. Ian McKellen, welcome back to our programme.
It's very nice to be with you.
Listen, I hate to acknowledge, but you just had a prang. I mean, you fell off the stage in The Player Kings.
Yes,
How are you feeling?
Recovering. The last time we talked, you wormed out of me what my next job was going to be, which was to play Falstaff, Sir John Falstaff, Shakespeare's iconic character in an adaptation of the plays in which he is in Shakespeare. And here we are at the end of that run, which for me ended when I fell off the stage. It was a bit more dramatic than that. There was a lot of, in the battle scenes, a lot of rubbish, garbage thrown onto the stage, including old newspapers and bits of old chair. And one evening I got my foot caught in a bit of chair.
In a bit of chair?
Yeah, and kicking it off, the other foot, like a skateboard, glided across the stage, inevitably toward the audience. I could see it happening. I thought it was the end of, I didn't know what, but it was the end. And as I landed on someone in the front row, I heard myself screaming, "Help me, help me."
Really?
"I'm sorry." That was the next thing I said. And the third thing I said, "Where did this come from?" "I don't do this." That's what I shouted to the audience as they left the theatre. But, you know, everybody trips. We all trip. Mm-hmm. It's only when you get into your 80s that it becomes dangerous.
Well, can I say, I was going to say that, which is probably what gave you the fear, the amount of fear that you had. Anyway, here you are.
I am.
In fine fettle,
yes.
Probably a little bit pain still, and promoting a new film.
Yes.
The Critic.
Yes.
What is it about this film that attracted you? Because, you know, from Falstaff to this film critic, Jimmy Erskine, who's a pretty, as they said in one review, waspish fellow.
That's putting it mildly. What made me do it? A letter with the script from the person who'd written it, Patrick Marber, a great playwright, and I worked on a film with him before. And he said, "This is the best part I've ever written. I hope you want to do it." Well, if somebody says that about their own work, you feel almost obliged to join
agree?
it. And it's a fantastic part. And then I was thrilled because Mark Strong, who's I've known since he was a lad as an actor, and I've watched his career develop, is there playing a big part, and Gemma Arterton and Leslie Manville.
Yeah. It's an incredible cast. It is an incredible cast.
And we have a good old time. Yes, it's about a critic in the time when newspaper critics had a huge amount of power, before, let's say, the decline of the newspapers and the growth of online criticism from anybody. Critics could make or break a career overnight. And Jimmy Erskine is such a man. And because he wants to use a young actress to seduce somebody who he wants to get into trouble. My God,
oh my God, there's so many.
Too much of the plot.
Yeah. So I'm going to play, because you mentioned Mark Strong's character, and he becomes the proprietor of this newspaper upon his father's death.
Right.
So you see one coffin going, and it's his father's, and then you come, to a meeting with this guy. But at this point, he is telling you off, essentially. He's trying to get you to stop being so acerbic in your killer criticism.
Right.
And this is the clip that we've chosen.
Warning, hold your breath as you pass the Duke's Theatre, for here is untreated theatrical sewage. The play of elemental passion has been reduced to the scale of a sodden sock.
Well, it's my responsibility to discourage our readers from wasting their wages on tripe.
Never mind all that. We're discussing the extremity of your style.
But that's why people read me. I effuse. The proud tradition of this paper established by your dear father.
Yes, I know he was fond of you. He was also fond of Sir Oswald Mosley.
You can't compare me with him.
You're very affronted because obviously Sir Oswald Mosley was the head of the fascists, the black shirts in the 30s.
And Jimmy is gay at a time when in the UK it was illegal to practice anything.
Which you are as well, and we're going to get to that. But first, I want to get through the storyline because it's very important that.
Yes.
Do you think critics have too much power?
I don't think they have any power these days.
No, but then?
Then, yes, and I've always had an easy time with critics because they get to know you. You do a number of plays, and if you give a performance they approve of, then they're rather on your side. They look forward to the next thing you do. They're inclined to
And
want
you obviously had that because people really love you.
Well, I did have some absolutely stunning reviews, and they were extremely helpful.
And have you had some really bad reviews?
Yes.
And how do you cope with that?
But I'm not going to tell you what they were.
All right, but how do you cope with them?
Well, you remember that critics are not writing for the actors. They're writing for the audience, their audience.
So that's to answer that question, which I wonder whether you then internalized during this, or you're such a good actor that you didn't mind being really dastardly, really mean to this one actress, Nina Land. And at one point, she's played by Gemma Arterton, she comes up to you and has the courage to actually confront you as the critic, and I'm going to play that.
Oh, good, good.
I want an apology.
For expressing my opinion?
For the manner of its expression. The rudeness, the disrespect.
One of my many solemn duties is to entertain the reader.
At my expense.
Well, it's not just you, is it? I write, 500,000 words a year. Oh, mea culpa if 12 of them offended you.
Over the last 10 years, you've compared me to livestock, creatures of the sea, and an extinct bird. You've said my voice is fluting, grating, girlish, and manly. You've described me as plump and emaciated. Which is it, damn you? Last season, her Mrs. Elstead is glamorous but ungainly. She doesn't seem to know how to walk. How to walk? You've been dishing it out to me for a decade, and now it's going to stop.
Oh, are you retiring?
I mean, that is a great line. But she really took the bull by the horns.
She's a great actor.
Yeah.
I'd not worked with her before. She is and is going to be, if she gets the parts, world-beating, I think.
To the point here, and you sort of mentioned it when we started, she becomes your vehicle to try to pull a fast one or whatever on the proprietor.
That's right.
Because you have been caught in what they called back then an immoral, lewd act.
Yeah.
Kissing your male secretary, who was your boyfriend, your lover, living with you.
Yeah.
And you were afraid you were going to lose your job. So this is then you going into this attempt to get Nina Land to do this deal for you.
Yes, right.
I must you could do me a little service. And in return, you will gain my unyielding favour. Stunning reviews. Acclaim. The actress of her generation. And we might start with an interview for my Backstage Whispers column. And my chum, Cecil, will photograph you. Only the best for Nina. And there'll be parties, gatherings, entrees, dinners, all that's required to make you a star. Everything you crave and deserve. An immortal of the stage and screen.
I can't do it. It's not me.
It's a part. It's not you.
The film, the actual tale of the film, that's when it starts really heading into very dark and mean and deadly territory.
Yeah. Yes, it's a slightly melodramatic story, but the 1930s was pretty melodramatic time, wasn't it? In politics and everything else, and social attitudes. And this story is very firmly rooted in that period. And I think the acting measures up to it, and we don't quite act with the naturalism that we would do if it was a story about today. There's something just a little bit distant, a little bit odd and strange, and I think that's right.
And again, I said that you're basically fighting for your life and not to be arrested as well, because you are gay at that time.
Yeah.
And, you know, you have said, and I'm going to quote a little bit, you know, when you came out in 1988, almost overnight, everything in my life changed for the better. My relationships with people, my whole attitude towards acting changed. You said you began noticing difference in your work. So this is it's a bit art imitating life, this plot.
Well, there is a connection, absolutely, yes.
So how did it change for you?
It changed. I think one of the reasons I became an actor with such enthusiasm was that it was I could escape the real world where my sexuality was a hindrance to normality, really. And so my acting had become about, not deceit, not display, but disguise. Once I came out, don't care who knows, happy to talk about it, my acting became about revelation, about discovery, about going for the truth of the matter and feeling it deeply. Well, that's a better way to act than the former. And as for friends, and new friends, and old friends, not turning a hair, and family saying, thank God you've told us at last we'd wanted to talk about it and we thought you didn't want to. All that went, and yes, my life changed, absolutely. Yes, I was born again. Yes. People say they're born-again Christians. Well, I'm a born-again gay man, yeah.
And as you say, it opened you up to, you know, expressing more emotions than you used to do before and doing that naturally.
I found it easier to absolutely commit to emotions because I wasn't hiding anything anymore.
Do you ever get caught up in the current debate where sometimes people say, oh, you can only play X character if you are X? The director of your film particularly said, Anand Tucker, says that he thinks that your knowledge, obviously, of what you're living really shaped your performance. I don't subscribe to the idea that you need to be gay to play a gay part. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. And any more than you have to be straight to play a straight part, because if that were the rule, if that were accepted, I couldn't play Macbeth, I couldn't play Iago, I couldn't play Richard III, I couldn't play Falstaff, all these straight guys.
Or Gandalf.
Gandalf's very special. I don't think he's very interested in sex. He's 7,000 years old. You know, eventually, you put things aside. No, but exactly. So no, I think that is a nonsense.
Yeah. Because a lot of people say
where it is not a nonsense is if a straight actor is playing a gay man, and in his acting criticises the gayness within the character, or does something which is just simply outrageously obvious, cheesy. And I think the same would be true if a non-Jew were playing a Jew, or you just got to be very careful. But there shouldn't be a rule that you can't play it. I mean, all Shakespeare's women were played by men.
Exactly.
They were written to be played by men. So when people say, why do women want to play men's parts? Well, why shouldn't they?
Are you going to be in the next... is there another Lord of the Rings? Is there...
There are going to be, yes.
And is Gandalf in them?
Yes, he is.
And are you going to be Gandalf?
Well, I think I'll have to read the script.
Okay.
But
is that a wink?
I can't think of anything I would enjoy more than to go back to New Zealand. Perhaps not for 3 or 4 years this time, but just a shorter period.
Do you ever?
Because I do miss New Zealand.
Do you ever think you're 84? I think, right? Or how old are you?
I think I'm 85.
85.
Yes.
Okay. You've fallen off a stage. You're doing so much work. You're still, you're hale and hearty and all in one piece. Do you ever think of retiring?
No. No, I feel sorry for people who look forward to retirement. What are they going to do? Garden? Travel? Yeah, I'm sure you can have a good time. No, if I'm not working, I get bored. I get antsy. I think I wasn't put onto this earth to sit around and read books.
Do you have a dream role? Any more dream roles?
No. Just to work with wonderful people. And if a wonderful director says, there's a part for you here, I'm inclined to say, yeah, good, thank you. Yes. But it's obvious that that theatre is a young man's game, really. You have to be fighting fit. And if it's a large part, even more strong-willed and determined. Well, I've got that, but sometimes the body lets you down.
It was just.
But until it does, until my knees go and the brain goes, can't remember the words or something.
Well, clearly you can remember all your words.
Yes, I'm all right in that regard. But one day it will happen, and it'll be an enforced retirement. But the idea of going to live in the countryside somewhere and be out of it and forget. No, I want to be in the thick of it.
It's the movie set for you. It's the boards in the theatre for you. And we hope to have you back here again soon.
Lovely.
Thank you,
Lovely
Ian
to see
McKellen.
you.
Thank you. Every performance is a great performance, and The Critic is out in movie theatres on September 13th. And finally, painting the town red, literally with tomatoes, some 22,000 revellers in eastern Spain did just that in the annual Tomatino Festival. 150 tons of ripe pear tomatoes were flung, squashed, squelched in the streets of Buñol during an hour-long food fight. Supposedly, the tradition began accidentally in 1945, when a brawl broke out during a parade and a nearby vegetable stand became the armory. Look at that. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Goodbye from London.